Welcome to Technology Insights by CrossML. My name is Amar. I'm the co-founder of CrossML. CrossML is a leading AI services company, and we specialize in generative AI, machine learning, and AI-enabled product engineering. We help businesses discover AI use cases, build secure AI products, and make them ready for production. So currently, I'm leading sales and marketing teams in CrossML, and today we have Ankit with me. Ankit is the co-founder in CrossML, and he has over 15 years of experience in tech and has worked with various startups and mid-scale companies. He oversees software delivery, innovation, and customer success at CrossML. Welcome, Ankit, to today's webinar. So today we'll discuss and understand the impact of generative AI and of its potential in 2024.
Hey Amar, thanks for having me today. And AI has been crazy so far, so it has become the catalyst of modern businesses. It's not just about automating use cases, but it's all about elevating the whole user experiences. And as you know, in 2023, most of the businesses has already witnessed the potentials of generative AI across industries. And in 2024, now it's not just adopting the technology, but it's about fostering the business value, nurturing innovation, and I think implement strategically to drive business success from this transformative technology because it has great potential and great impact on the businesses.
Absolutely. Like what I see is that in the last year, businesses saw the potential of generative AI, but 2024, it's most about the use cases that the businesses are able to identify for their business and how they are able to incorporate this technology into their current stack. I think that's where the potential is, and that's where the majority of impact is, right?
Exactly. Yeah, based on the recent developments, if you see in the generative AI, the performance is now expected to match median human performance. And even various research institutes estimated that Gen AI could add trillions of dollars in value to the global economy. So the scale and potential we have already seen. So there is no doubt about it. And the ability of generative AI to understand natural language and process large language text with the capability of reinforcement learning and human feedback in the loop. So it has great potential for the automation industry to automate various tasks and activities. Because if you see the previous automation technologies, that or these technologies mostly impacted the lower wages kind of jobs or the task. For
Yeah.
example, data entry, basic bookkeeping, or repetitive customer support queries, assembly lines, kind of things in manufacturing. However, generative AI, what I feel or what industry is talking about, generative AI will majorly impact the higher wages and the knowledgeable employees and their tasks. For example, complex data analysis, automated code generation, analysis of medical images, tailor-made content creation, and even in the pharmaceutical and the medical industry, generative AI is helping in drug discovery as well, or the enterprise search in large unstructured data. So there are endless use cases for generative AI, I feel.
I think it's generative AI is more towards augmentation of workforce rather than the automation. So it should be looked at upon not replacing the human workforce, but augmenting it, improving the performance, just increasing the overall efficiency in the business. I think that's where the potential of Gen AI is. So how do you foresee like what all different use cases can come across different with different industries in 2024?
Yeah, before that, you absolutely rightly pointed out the generative AI is a right shake hand with the human, and I'll say the human technology collaboration.
Hmm.
And even now, we are, or there are a lot of debates around artificial general intelligence over there.
Right.
So that is a right mixture or a combination or a perfect combination of human and technology where both will collaborate for the success of businesses. And if you talk about the adoption of the generative AI, I think the adoption of generative AI is likely to be faster in the developed countries where the wages are already high, because as I said, it will impact the high wages and knowledgeable employees.
Right.
And the feasibility of adopting automation are like opportunities are huge to automate the different tasks. And it is not just limited to one or two industries. Generative AI is helping across different industries. You name it: banking, high tech, pharmaceutical, healthcare, insurance, telecommunication. All major industries are exploring the valuable generative AI use case in their businesses. And if you want me to talk about some specific use cases, I can definitely go a little bit deeper. If I start with retail and sales, generative AI can cut the significant amount of time for sales representative or customer support persons spend a lot of time to process customer queries.
Yes. Even we have seen with some of the products that we have delivered from CrossML to our customers that, especially in the e-commerce domain, the customer support bots that we have built for our customers, that they were able to drastically cut on the time of the response that the customer representative takes and the amount of data that needs to be processed before responding to a query, like checking the order status, checking all the communication that has been going on with the customer. So it has actual business value. I think there's a lot of potential in retail and e-commerce for it.
No, absolutely. As you mentioned about our recent projects, even in one of our projects, we are processing multimodal input or data
Mm.
from text to images or to speeches. We
Right.
are processing a lot of unstructured data and from different sources. Because if you talk about the LangChain, for example, as a framework over there, LangChain can support over 30 or around 50 type of data sources, right? So you
Right.
can import or source the data from anywhere. Data could be unstructured, and it helps to provide customers with real-time assistance and personalized next step.
Mm.
And it has been the most promising use case, especially the what I was already talking about, to cut down the time for sales representative and customer support has been the promising use cases as of now in retail, travel, and CPG industries.
Yeah. And how do you foresee the Gen AI's impacts on banking and financial institute? Because why I'm asking this is because traditionally banking has been an industry where they are a bit skeptical to adopt new technology given the risk of financial transactions and the customer data and the criticality of it. So how do you foresee Gen AI's impacts in banking and financial domain?
Definitely, as you mentioned, banking and financial institutes, it is the heavily regulated industry, first of all, with substantial number of risk, compliances, and legal requirements. And even majority of the banking, I was reading some article, and more than 60% of banks or financial institutes still a little bit nervous to adopt this technology and looking forward for more regulations that would increase the trust while adopting. But still, if I highlight a few use cases, even in past, one of the European bank, they came up with a very innovative idea. They made one assistant or developed one assistant to get search for the data from large unstructured documents related to the environmental, social, and governance ECG, ESG data,
Mm.
right? So that was one classical use case of enterprise search or the knowledge search from large unstructured data. Another use cases could be like, in insurance, in banks, we have a large forms, and it's really hard to process the data or extract the data from these documents. For example, banking statements, invoices, receipts. So you can easily extract information or named entities from such documents using generative AI.
I think it will augment the existing technologies like OCR is there, and I mean using
Right.
technology along with generative AI, and it will just improve on the performance of such data pipelines.
Absolutely. It made the OCR a little bit matured and take it to the next step, because in OCR we had some challenges. Sometimes we were not able to extract the human context information,
Right.
right? Because that was more in terms of rule-based kind of things.
Right.
But generative AI made these things a little bit more generalized in terms of human-centric, so that you are now getting or extracting much better information as compared to the traditional or the previous automation technologies. And another thing, in especially in financial department, you can easily generate synthetic data
Hmm.
to identify or to simulate the risks, model training, and testing different financial use cases rather than testing them on the original customer data. So you can generate a lot of synthetic data and perform the testing on that data.
Hmm.
And it also helps uh, such institutes to make tailor-made customer contracts, because customer contracts is a big pain in US or other industries. For every customer, you have to sit and draft a contract, because these contracts are sometimes personalized contracts. So such industries are leveraging the potential of generative AI, and they are able to reduce human intervention from 30 to 40%.
Hmm. Absolutely. I think the majority, the lower hanging fruits for these industries could be a customer support and knowledge search, but there are these in-depth use cases like you mentioned for contract drafting and other research based or synthetic data generation that could have a potential impact on these industries.
Exactly.
Uh, if we can briefly touch upon some of the impact of generative AI on pharmaceutical and life sciences. So, what are
Yeah,
your thoughts?
yeah, absolutely. So pharmaceutical, life science, or if I talk about the chemical industries, they are also exploring the valuable use cases. If you check one very specific estimate in such industries, these industries spend their 20 to 30% of their revenue to discover new drugs. And it also took 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. Generative AI and generative AI foundation models help these industries to generate candidate molecules faster and accelerate the drug development process using generative AI. And it is reducing tremendous amount of time and making the overall drug discovery process faster. So this is a very classical use case where all the pharmaceutical industries are investing in generative AI, right? And when you have to discover any drug, you have to search a valuable information from large scientific documents or the data. And sometimes that data is unstructured. So it takes a lot of time for scientists to search data from such documents. So their generative AI is also helping these scientists. They can easily execute complex queries on such data sets, and they can easily extract the useful information based on the drug they are discovering and what relevant information they need from these scientific documents. And generative AI is also helping to analyze handwritten doctor's text, because that text is very hard to understand even for a human.
Hmm.
But generative AI is trying to analyze doctor notes, extract patient information
Right.
from medical records, and automate insurance claims.
Right.
So, in every industry, if you take retail and businesses, if you talk about banking, if you talk about pharmaceutical, in every industries, you will definitely find the valuable use cases.
Okay. So, and lastly, I think the biggest thing that needs to be discussed is the risks and concerns that are associated with Gen AI. The other day, I was like looking upon a recent study by BCG where 50% of CXOs, they interviewed different CXOs, and 50% of them were divided on Gen AI. Now they had their apprehensions about generative AI, they had their technical concerns, and they had their implementation concerns. And I think this needs to be addressed. Like, what are the major risks and concerns that are there with generative AI? So, what, according to you, how will this be a thing that needs to be addressed in 2024? What are the key highlights of the key risks or associated concerns with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So risk and opportunities are coming hand in hand whenever we talk about the generative AI. So whenever I talk about generative AI, the time we spend to discuss the opportunities, I think similar amount of time we also spend to discuss the risk and concerns as well. And obviously, the bias in the training data is the major concern. Regulation is still many industries are looking for. As I mentioned, banking industry, more than 50% or 60% banks are still looking for the regulations, because the IP is another major problem in generative AI. So whatever content you are generating or whatever content you are using,
Hmm.
it's not sure like to whom it belongs and to whom it is the property of that particular content. So IP is one another major problem in generative AI we are talking about. Transparency is similarly related to IP. So you are not sure even the content you are sharing with your customers. So customers must be aware that this content is generated by the generative AI bots or technology, not the actual human. So transparency is required over there. And if I talk about some technical things in terms of risk, so prompt injections are the major risk in generative AI or large language models,
Hmm.
and the hallucination kind of things. So,
Yeah.
for example, you are asking any questions to any particular model or bot. Even the bot doesn't have the answer, but it will still generate some sort of output, right?
Yeah,
So
it's like lack of explainability. In a traditional software, we are able to answer why the software is behaving the way it's behaving. What is the conditional flow of the software? I think that's where the challenge is with generative AI. You can't explain why it has generated the way it has generated the response.
yes, so there are a few terms like we majorly use in generative AI. So content should be honest,
Mhm.
content should not be harmful,
Mhm.
and content should be helpful. So 3H we majorly fit in generative AI:
Mhm.
harmful, honest, and helpful. So
Mhm.
these three terms we majorly keep in our mind whenever we talk about the security and risk concerns in generative AI.
Mhm. Okay. And I think the impact of generative AI on job markets also needs to be carefully addressed. Like, we can't simply replace the jobs. Like I said initially, that we need to see it as a more of a augmentation where the human is still there, but the job role has changed. Maybe it's validating what the bot has generated, what the Gen AI has come up with, and then using it in the business, or sharing it with the customers, or using it in the business data pipeline. So I think there needs to be a responsible and a trusted way in which Gen AI is used, just not like for the sake of adoption and just to replace humans. It should not be looked upon as like just a replacement of humans.
Yeah, exactly. So job displacement is another major problem in generative AI. Recently, we are hearing news from different companies. Google has laid off X employees. Microsoft has laid out X Y number of employees. And even one of the latest IMF research mentioned that 40% or more than 40% jobs are at risk in 2024 because of this technology. Honestly, I'm looking like this will not be a true statement, because if 40% people will lose their jobs, it will be a big impact, right? But this is what most of the research institutes are estimating, and obviously looking forward how this technology will grow and what sort of impact it will bring into the businesses and in individuals' life. So that is the most important thing to look forward in 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the key takeaway or to address these challenges that are there, I think there needs to be a strategic roadmap that every business needs to build, making a clear vision on what benefits they are expecting from that Gen AI implementation is very critical, and making sure that the customer itself understand the ethical and responsible use of AI is very critical. And again, as we see that AI might impact the jobs, but in itself there will be new roles that will be coming up. There will be new talent requirement that will come up. So there will be replacement of roles also. So all these, with the risk and with the challenges, there are immense opportunities that are there in with generative AI.
Yeah, it's true. And as I said before, generative AI brings a lot of potentials and use cases for any business in any industry, right? And considering the pace how the generative AI is getting adopted in 2023 and now in 2024, businesses will have to act quickly and promptly to figure out the relevant or valuable use cases in their businesses while addressing both opportunities and risks, right? Because risks are equally important in case of generative AI.
Absolutely.
And when I say they will have to act quickly and promptly, because as you know, good things will come to the businesses that don't wait, right? So that's why they will have to explore the opportunities as quickly as possible.